How did MotoGP go from this to this? The answer lies in the dark art of aerodynamics, an Aero Cold War that's transforming MotoGP machines into two-wheeled Formula One cars. But is that a good thing?
No.
Aerodynamics isn't exactly new to motorcycling. In fact, it's one of the most natural things we can do on bikes, which is to try and cheat the wind. From the early days, there have been fascinating experiments, enclosing riders in bubbles, molding fairings around bodies, or simply stripping down to your skiffies and going for it. In racing today, aerodynamics wizards focus on keeping motorcycles grounded, with wings doing the exact opposite of what they do on aircraft. Now, borrowing from other fields is par for course and perhaps even encouraged. Their latest obsession? Aerodynamics. Ducati fired the first shot in this new MotoGP Aero war, and they hired F1 engineer Alan Jenkins to make their bike go faster, with tiny wings to improve downforce. Purists screeched, but behind the scenes, teams took notice. They could see the clouds of war appear on the horizon. The Aero war is perhaps a signal that MotoGP tech overall has hit a ceiling when it comes to gains in all other areas. But MotoGP Aero? It's still a baby with lots of room to grow. Like Ducati's technical director says, an advantage of 0.05 of a second per lap is so small, but it becomes an advantage of 1 second over 20 laps, which can mean finishing in front of or behind your rival. Now, wings are by no means a new idea, but Ducati had reignited the Aero war with the GP15. The wings grew bigger and bigger by the year before individual wings were banned in 2017, a ban which stopped almost no one. It's a little-known fact that race engineers are amazing dancers. Their one rule? They can only dance around the rulebook. Ducati simply integrated the Aero into their fairings and went for lunch. It took a few years, but by 2019, everyone had wings, not just Red Bull. Speaking of which, underdogs like KTM and Aprilia saw a massive competitive advantage and started to focus their energy on Aero. By 2018, Aprilia had convinced Ferrari's Schumacher-era Aero wizard, Marco De Luca, to come on board. Aero specialists are like morality police, covering up even the slightest hint of exposed bodywork. Armed with their rakes, CFD simulations, and wind tunnels, they started to go hard after 2018. They literally tried slapping on a F1-style front wing onto the bodywork, a bit on the nose if you ask me. They tried molding the wings, and they even tried giving it wings at the back. F1-style diffusers, radiator ducts, fork covers, brake disc sticky out bits, wheel covers, and even blown diffusers, which use exhaust gases to generate more downforce, were all being tested. So what's all this for? Unlike these, they're not there for posterity. Some elements prevent front or back wheel lift, others improve cornering grip, some clean up airflow, some help cooling, others braking. By manipulating the oncoming air into high and low pressure zones like a bird, the motorcycle is able to use the wind to its advantage rather than fighting it. Its effectiveness is directly proportional to how fast you're going, which is why it's so useful in MotoGP and not so much on road bikes. Motorcycles lean so far over that the side panels effectively become floorboards, which is why engineers applied lessons from F1 floor aero design.
Ground effect is a way of manipulating airflow underneath the car to create a sort of vacuum, sucking the car to the ground and improving cornering grip and traction.
Ground effect was first properly introduced in racing with the legendary Lotus 78, the first total ground effect F1 car. Once Aero started winning races, budgets were diverted, forcing competitors to follow suit. Despite regulations attempting to constantly clamp down, Aero is only gaining momentum. So is it making MotoGP better or worse? Well, opinions are split. Purists aren't big on it. Same story with legends like Marquez. His fears are that it's going to turn MotoGP into an F1 game of 80% machine and 20% rider. Just like him, we prefer the inverse. The nightmare scenario? One deeply pocketed manufacturer dominates through R&D spending, or dirty air tactics kill the closed racing we so adore. Yet, paradoxically, competition's never been tighter, with former underdogs being more competitive than ever. Even Ducati, who lit this powder keg, cannot sit back comfortably. Regulations must balance fairness while leaving room to play. If MotoGP wants to be the top dog of motorcycling, looking back in the mirror longingly guarantees a crash. Aero, especially active Aero, is going to unlock some cool capabilities for racing and road bikes, but also might hold the key for electric motorcycles to finally become usable. So where do we go? Well, since F1 has often been a leading indicator for MotoGP, adopting their sliding scale rules might work, limiting spending and giving backbenchers more aero allocation than the leaders. The answer, it seems, is blowing in the wind.